What's on? Welcome back to the TR7 Skate YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing frontside feeble grind. Frontside feeble grind. So, before we get started with this tutorial, I want to begin by saying that I personally really struggled with this trick in particular. It took me quite a long time to master it. I find it a lot harder than the backside feeble that Harry's already done. So if you struggle with this one, be patient with it because it looks great and it feels great. It's worth putting in the effort for. In order to do this grind, there's only really two tricks that you want to already have down. The first one is frontside board slides, and the second one is frontside 50-50s on round rail, Frontside feeble, if you didn't already know, is when you're going to lock your back truck onto the rail and your front truck's going to go right over like that. And it's frontside because you're going to be coming at it with the rail in front of you. So the first thing we're going to think about is the approach to the rail. You don't want to be coming too parallel to the rail because that's going to make it quite tricky to get over it, but you don't want to come at too much angle because that's going to make it quite tricky to grind going forward. So you want to come in with a bit of an angle, sort of like the front side board, but maybe a little bit less angle. So about this much. There's a little stone there, so can't even see any stones. So you want to be coming in with about this much angle. For the foot positioning, like a lot of rail tricks, it's mainly just an ollie to get into it. So put your feet however you will for an ollie. But seeing as you're going to be grinding on the back truck, you do need to be leaning back for this one. So to make it a bit easier, try bringing your front foot a bit further back than you normally would, because that's going to help you keep all your weight over the back truck instead of being centered like you might be for a 50-50. So this is where I really struggled with it, and it's the locking into the grind. So when it comes to jumping onto it, obviously we know you're only getting your back truck on, but more specifically, it has to be this bit of your back truck. So it'll be the toe edge right up by the wheel, and you want that bit to be the bit that's sat on the rail. The problem I had for years was I was ollieing too much onto the top of the rail and kind of locking in either with a flat truck or even worse, right over on the other side. And that's going to be really hard to hold on to because naturally the board wants to go over the rail, whereas if you lock in properly, you'll be able to sit on top of the rail and go for much longer. Another thing worth thinking about as well, when you lock in properly, your deck will be touching the rail. You're not going to be just balancing on your truck. You want the whole board to sit in position because that's really going to help you hold it in place. But you really want to make sure that that board is more on this edge than it is up on top of the rail. And something you can do to help you get that consistently is think about your front foot going right over the rail, but the rest of your body is going to be leaning right back over this side. So your front foot's over there, but your shoulders and your head are right back here. You don't want the rest of your body to follow the front foot because you'll probably find that it either doesn't lock in properly or it does lock in but it sticks straight away. If you want it to get a nice grind, you really want to be sitting right back because that back truck is the one that's going to be doing all the work. Something that Harry's just pointed out, and he's very good at front feebles, so I'm going to listen to him, is your toes. So the front foot, you want to think about, instead of having your foot completely sideways, you want to think about turning it so your toes are pointing forward, because that's going to help you push that front end of the board out. And then the back foot, which is the one that's going to be holding all of your weight, you want to think about putting pressure on the toes on this edge of the board, and that's really going to help you stay on top of it. If you sink down into your heels on this back foot, then it's probably just going to fall over the rail. So the hardest thing about this trick is not only finding the lock-in point, but finding a good way of balancing there so that you can hold on to it. So that's the lower body. That's what you want to be doing with your feet and your board. Now you want to be thinking about the upper body a bit more. Just like every single rail trick, the shoulders and the arms play a massive part in this, especially if you're trying to grind a longer rail. You really want to make sure that your arms are completely parallel to the rail. Even though your lower body is going to be a bit twisted, if your arms stay here, that's going to help you come out nice and straight at the end. Whereas if you go with your legs and follow round, again, you're either going to get stuck or you'll get to the end of the rail and end up coming off sideways, which you don't want. You want to land straight so you can ride away with as much speed as possible. The last two things you want to be thinking about are the speed and the confidence. Just like Harry's back lip tutorial from last week, you'll find that when you actually try and do more of the rail, it's a lot easier than it is if you just do the end bit. It is a lot scarier, we understand that, but if you've got more time to lock in, feel comfortable and then get out at the end, it's going to make a lot more sense than it is if you try and ollie on and just do this little end bit, because you're not actually holding onto it and locking in there, so you're not going to get the proper feel. So try if you can to get on as early as possible. Even if you don't make it all the way and you need to jump off the board, it's better to start doing it that way, because it's really going to help you get the feel of locking in. And the other thing to think about is the speed. Again, just like other rail tricks, the faster you do it, the easier it's going to be. Even if it's a really long rail, the faster you go, that means you'll be on it and off it in no time. If you go really slowly, it's going to be a lot harder to balance and hold it all the way to the end. And also, if you go fast and full, you're much more likely to fall out of the way of the rail, where if you go slowly and full, you're probably going to fall onto the rail, which is the number one thing you want to try and avoid. So make sure you hit it nice and fast, and if you can, get on as early as possible. That's it for the frontside Feeble tutorial. If you're going to go out and try them and you've not tried them before, be patient with them. It took me a few years to get to the point that I actually started to feel like they were working, but it was well worth the time that I put into it, because it is one of my favourite rail tricks. I hope this tutorial helped. Be sure to check out our other videos if there's any other rail tricks that you're interested in learning, and don't forget to click subscribe and hit the little bell so that you don't miss next week's video. Don't miss next week's video.